Hold up. Wait a minute. Bruh. Did you hit the like button? Drop some rabbits in the chat. Let's go.
Hit that like. Hit that like. Welcome to the chat. Let's chit chat. Hit chat. Hit that like. Hit that like. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits. Drop some rabbits. Drop some drop them. Drop them. Drop them. Drop them. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits. Drop some rabbits. Drop them. Drop them. Drop them. Drop them. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits. If you want the tea, come see me. Rabbit hole is the place to be for real news, not fake news. Celebrity news, breaking news around the clock. Real talk, best on the block. I rock, I rock, I rock, I rock. Real talk, best on the block. I rock, I rock. Hit that like, hit that like. Welcome to the chat, let's chit chat, chit chat. Hit that like, hit that like. Drop some rabbits in the chat, drop some rabbits, drop some rabbits, drop some drop them, drop them, drop them, drop them. Drop some rabbits in the chat, drop some rabbits, drop some rabbits, drop them, drop them, drop them, drop them. Drop some rabbits in the chat, drop some rabbits. True crime is my specialty, exposing the industry. Unsolved mysteries, sticking to reality. Fair use commentary, talking about cults, trying to get results. Exploring hopes, exploring, researching, debunking, investigating, being nosy, super nosy, being messy, being shady. Rabbit hole news, that's me, the chick with ADHD, unmedicated but quite educated. Hit that like, hit that like. Welcome to the chat, let's chit chat, chit chat. Hit that like, hit that like. Drop some rabbits in the chat, drop some rabbits, drop some rabbits, drop them, drop them, drop them, drop them, drop them. Drop some rabbits in the chat, drop some rabbits, drop some rabbits, drop them, drop them, drop them, drop them. Drop some rabbits in the chat, drop some rabbits. Hit that like, hit that like. Let's go, let's go. Let's start the show, let's start the show, let's start the show, let's start the show, let's start the show.
I'm muted. Ooh. Sorry. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Let's start with the first piece of news that I have on my title because I'm a little confused by it. But I mean, a lot of us, I'm not a lawyer, so I'm going to try to understand this. So I'm going to show you guys what's being shown on my end. So the first piece of news on the title is regarding Ramier, the young man who's been saying that JC is his father, and he's been petitioning courts for a number of years now at this point to have a paternity test. And JC has kind of been playing the runaround in this situation, so we definitely going to get to that, but I'm just trying to set everything up on my end because I'm still not ready. Here we go. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Now, why don't we go to this? Shout out to Diddy Docket. Diddy Docket was where I first saw the news. So Diddy Docket broke this on the streets of Twitter. Welcome, everybody. Thank you guys for being here. Make sure you guys are hitting that like button. Please and thank you. So Diddy Docket, thank you, Diddy Docket, for sharing my stream. So I saw this breaking news. This was 12 hours ago. In the matter of Ramier, I can never say Ramir's last name, so I do apologize. Ramier versus Carter on July 18th, docketed today, July 22nd. Ramier filed notice to withdraw his case. Ramier filed notice to withdraw his case. Okay. And there's the date right there. So let's look at this paperwork right here. All right. Everybody come through. Make sure you guys are hitting that like button, please, and thank you. Good morning. Well, I don't know yet. We got to find this out. And I do wonder. And it says, notice of withdrawal from Ramier. It says from him to clerk of the court, United States, and federal judge Perry Anderson and Judge Sherilyn Peace Garrett. And then the address is there. I'm not going to read the address, but please take notice to the clerk of the courts of the United States, Plainton Ramier, pro se, submits this notice of withdrawal from the above complaint as a party to the action. The defendants have not filed an answer to the above complaint. I certify that the foregoing statements are true in the notice of withdrawal, and any willful false statements I'm subject to punishment. Sincerely, Ramier's signature is there on the bottom. Okay? So then I go up a little bit more. And Ramier actually Diddy Docket tweeted Ramier, and it says, "Hello, this is Ramir's account for those that don't know. Hello, changes were made to my case on July 18th, 2025, about 3:30 p.m. California time. There's a receipt. This was done due to changes made to my case we were not aware of. We will explain soon, but it's all about my mother now." Huh? So let's go ahead and read this little piece of email. Lord, listen. I don't know what's going on, but what is going on? I don't think so. I don't think so. Heard he may refile, but it's weird. Well, like, yeah, because he's doing it on his own. Now hold up. I did shout out to Diddy Docket again, because Diddy Docket, y'all need to check Diddy Docket out on Twitter, because if you want like the latest news, and Diddy Docket's been on top of a lot of things, but I kind of asked the question. I was like, what are we talking about here? And we don't know what's going on. Could it be that they might have not have access to the docket, and then people might have withdraw from the case? Like, there's a lot. If he withdrew after JC filed dismissal, that could be problematic for bringing case again. Could the government be involved in this too? Like, I do wonder about a lot of this. This ish don't make sense. Oh my goodness, Mexican long hair. Don't tease me. Let's get a money train going for Rabbit. Oh, thank you so much for the $4.99. Thank you. Shout out to Mexican long hair. Oh, by the way, I do plan to do a follow-up video on that conversation that we had on your panel. Shout out to Mexican long hair's channel. Make sure you guys check Mexican long hair out. Thank you. Or it could be his mother's allegations on initial claim, and now he needs to withdraw to file a claim himself. The same day, Eddie's lawyer. Oh my God, West and Peace. We're not even there. This is some ish right here. We're going to talk about that pretty soon, I promise y'all. But I had to talk about this. Did somebody scare the man? Or he might have been scared. Well, let's read this email, because I don't know. What, the 18th, and then we don't find out until the 22nd? Where's my gavel? Let me get my gavel. Hold up. Listen, my friends. This makes no sense, and I'm confused by this whole situation. And I suggest that we figure this out, because I don't know what's going on. It just doesn't seem like this would be the case. He specified the date and time for a reason. Why? I don't believe it doesn't sound like it's voluntary. The thing about it, guys, I'm gonna put my little tinfoil hat. It's on right now, okay? That's how tinfoil it is. You have to imagine it there, okay? We about to imagine some things. Why is it that when it comes to Rock Nation, Jay-Z, it always seems some ish? Like, you got the Morey case, that whole situation, people are getting strikes and copyright strikes, and stuff is disappearing off the internet. You have that. And then you have, like, even the Meg Thee Stallion lawsuit that I just talked about, right? With the dancer. My friends, that one is some ish right there. They were trying to get rid of that case too. And then there's that one. And then this situation, I don't know. I don't know, man. What is that? You're going to have to explain it. Jamakud Matiti protection? Shady lawyers? Current lawsuit is not seeking child support, rather damages for alleged emotional distress and other issues stemming from the prolonged legal battles. That's Ramir's last name. I can never say his last name. Yo, this is crazy. Jay-Z would be exposed to be a Pedialyte. Remember, because Ramir's mother was like a child. Where's my coffee? Because I need the coffee. The ice is icing. Let's get into this. Let's see this little email right here, because this makes no sense. Shout out to Diddy Docket again, okay? This email confirms that the documents listed below were received by the United States District Court for Central District of California at the date and time indicated. Dear Ramier, now this is civil intake. So Ramier got a submission confirmation. This was 4 days ago on the 18th. Civil intake, Dear Ramier, this email confirms that the documents listed below are in there. So he's showing us a screenshot of a submission he made. And it basically says that it takes some days to get into Pacer, yada, yada. This is pretty basic. This was submitted on the 18th of July. Ramier says, hello, changes were made to my case on July 18th. Ramier, who made these changes? He says, changes were made to my case on July 18, 2025, about 3:30. This was done due to changes made to my case we were not aware of. We will explain soon, but it's all about my mother now. I can't do it with this. Let me tell you guys something. Look, I really hope that Ramier finds justice in this situation, but I can't do the subliminal anymore. Like the subliminal, I can't do it. What do y'all think? It was filed May 2025, claims that Jay-Z and his legal team have engaged in fraud, manipulation of the legal system, and intimidation to avoid a paternity test. Why is this man avoiding a paternity test? I mean, the guy looks like him. I don't know. Like, I am not Maury Povich, but like you are allegedly looks like you could be potentially the papa. El papi. What do you want me to say? Like, okay, hold on. Jay-Z and Ramier. This is some ish. And then Jay-Z's claiming, hold up, because this is like the perfect picture. I mean, Ramier doesn't even have glasses. What in the hell is going on? El padre, el daddy, right? That's right. Rabbit, look at the age of consent in Philadelphia in 1992. Miss Jams, don't tell me that he would be considered a Pedialyte if this is found to be in civil court to have been an issue. Isn't there a statute of limitations, though, to something like this? I don't know. Let me see. Age of consent in Philly. In 1992. Miss Jams, am I going to get surprised? Because it says right here, hold up. In 1992, the age of consent in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania was 16 years old. Okay. This means individuals 16 of age and older could legally consent to S activity with adults. So what's the issue? I'm tired. Like, shout out to Ramier, and I know he has to be very, very careful. Like, don't get me wrong. I would be very, very careful. But I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, I'm tired of the subliminals. It's just too much, But maybe there's a fear in his life. I feel like AI can do the paternity at this point. Lord, we said El Daddy. Something. Are you El Daddy? What's going on? Yeah, look, she was 15 at conception. So, okay, here it is. Shout out to y'all. Drop some hearts and flowers for Diddy Docket, who brought the news. Hi, Rabbit and all. The alleged the hookup happened in New York, not Philadelphia. And there's pictures of them together. Look, there's been some cases that I have seen where I'm like, does a paternity test really need to happen based on various circumstances? And you can blame Maury Povich for me feeling this way. I'm gonna be honest with you. But in this case, I don't know. I get kind of like Ramier deserves a paternity test. But I also feel like I'm tired of the subliminals at the same time. We need Maury, bring Maury out of the retirement. Could only if the parents didn't find out or prosecute, says Troy Miller. You said, Tara Jackson says, I heard she was 15 or 14 too. And I'm pretty sure he would have been not just a couple of years older. There's no statute of limitations, I don't think, on that. Lord have mercy, y'all. Something's off here. Something's off out of this whole situation. May Kathy White rest in peace as well, because that's another situation that, in my mind, I don't understand. I don't get it. But hold up, my friends, hold up. Ramier, where are you at, Ramier? I just pulled you up. Where'd you go, Ramier? What happened here that made him pull out? Because this is what he did. I'm a little surprised. Has he updated since? Let's see. Godmom respond hits finance world. So this is Dr. Cooley responds to U.S. Weekly article on legal case involving Ramier and Shawn Jay-Z Carter. Okay. Nicki Minaj has the most viral challenge on the internet right now, striking a pose 12 years ago. Icon boot. Listen, people are busting their necks on that pose. You are not going to see me on no stilettos on a balancing act. But shout out to Nicki Minaj, because she is a queen and she's able to do that. Me, give me the chucks and I'll do it. Okay. But I need to understand a little bit more of the situation. He's not really saying a whole lot, and I think he's just being it's a lot. There's a lot of subliminals here. Ramier, we're here for you no matter what happens with your dad or alleged father, or when you finally get the justice you deserve. Our support isn't going anywhere. Whether it's this year or many years from now, your family with us. Damn. This some stuff. Here's the question that I have for the chat. Is this man ever going to find out if this guy is if I don't even think he's really wanting to connect with Jay-Z on that level. I don't think he really wants that dad relationship. I honestly think he just wants to find out. And you know what? I think he deserves to know. And if there's a connection and there's actual photos of this, then Jay-Z should be doing a paternity test. But like I said, if he doesn't fear, if there's no fear of anything, then there's no fear of nothing. But here's the deal. Remember what Jay-Z told the people when the Busby situation happened? I'm not of this moral world. He doesn't fight the way that a lot of us do. So who knows? Just pee on the cup, JJ. Well, wait. Yeah, just pee on the cup. 1 second, guys. Sorry about that. Sitter came through. Okay, baby bunny. She's a little grouchy, but she's actually doing a lot better. She's feeling a little bit better. He said, no worries, Miss Toby. Don't worry. You are right on time. He said, I'm late, was watching the BK sentencing. Oh my God, y'all. And I was gonna stream that, but I don't feel like I would have done right by that case because I haven't followed every aspect of it. But that is Brian Koberger finally hearing, I think he's hearing witness and victim statements. I think I heard briefly the young girl say that she was sleeping with their parents for a good year after the whole situation. But let's get back to Jay-Z here real quick. Yeah, she's actually better. She's just a little grouchy, baby bunny. She's a baby bunny. That's how she is. I don't get Jay-Z on this ish. Like, Jay-Z says that it's years of harassment. Okay, so let's play devil's advocate here a little bit, okay? Let's do that, all right? Follow me on this, okay? If I'm Jay-Z, which I'm not, and I could never be, although we share the same birthday. Ain't that weird? We share the same birthday. Sagittariuses. Come on, he's a different kind of Sagittarius because he can't really get at this level, the thought process behind things. But listen, who am I? The guy's a bazillionaire. So Jay-Z, let's think about this, okay? Take the paternity test. If the paternity test says that you are not the father, You come back and then you say, hey, I'm not the father. Just like I wasn't there when the Jane Doe situation happened, when he was accused with Diddy. Y'all remember that? That was a spectacle, right? Okay. Take the paternity test. And if you're not the father, you get to clear your name. And potentially, this has been years and years of this. He would deserve to clear his name to a certain degree. Let's just say that's the case. You're not the father, clear your name. Take the test. If you're not the father, clear your name. Right? Doesn't that make sense? Yes, I can. And I'll show y'all. And it was actually tweeted for those that are coming through, because I know I got people coming in here that maybe were not here earlier. I'll show you. So it's at a Diddy docket. If you go to Diddy docket, she actually posted, this is actually 12 hours ago. So this is not new news, guys. 12 hours ago. Okay, this is 5 minutes. Look, she just posted this. On June 23rd, Ramir's case was reassigned to the judge handling Coley versus Carter. Also, on July 18th, Jay-Z's motions to dismiss both cases and set a hearing for both cases for September 3rd. Okay, so Jay-Z had filed a motion, but Ramier filed one as well. Hold up. This is Ramier right here. This was 12 hours ago, July 18th, docketed today. Breaking news. Ramier filed a notice to withdraw from his case. And then Ramier actually wrote on the 22nd, which was yesterday, probably later in the evening or something. I'm not really sure because we totally didn't even catch this. He wrote that confirmation. He submitted to have this case dismissed. And he basically said that there were changes done to his case. He doesn't know what exactly. He says, this was done due to changes made to my case we're not aware of. He doesn't know what changes, and he's not explaining what changes per se. We will soon explain, but it's all about my mother now. It further goes, something must have happened, y'all. I'm just saying, okay? Something must have happened with this news. And then Diddy Docket just posted here 6 minutes ago, previously in the matter of Ramier versus Carter. On June 23rd, Ramir's case was reassigned to the judge. So maybe that's the change. There was a reassignment to a judge. Coley versus Carter. Also, on July 18th, Jay-Z filed motions to dismiss both cases and set a hearing for both cases for September 3rd. What could have happened in between? Was it a change of judge that Ramier did not agree to? And so he's like, I'm going to file to have this dismissed. Then this was 7 minutes ago. Previously, in the matter of Ramier versus Carter, on June 23rd, Ramir's case was reassigned to the judge handling Coley versus Carter. Also on July 18th, Jay-Z filed motions to dismiss both cases and set a hearing for both cases for September 3rd. Did he reach a settlement? Maybe that's what it is, but I think that would have been like a conversation. What happened? You think he's splitting from his godmother? I bet. Well, it's leaving a lot for interpretation, if you know what I mean. Did he withdraw from the case with his godmother? They have separate. He said that there's been changes. You think it needs to be settled privately? And maybe it will be. There's no ruling yet. We don't know. There's just a bunch of motions that have been filed. I don't know. You said taking the dog out, be in the bushes. Thank you. Rest in peace. Is it all right? Sagittarius says, you don't get Jay-Z on this. He's a billionaire. If he takes the test, he then opens himself up to potentially hundreds of other frivolous lawsuits. Anyone with resemblance wants a test. Well, elite Leo, maybe that's what it is. Maybe he's like, if I do one paternity test, then others will come along, right? Does that mean that everybody's an illegitimate child? Does that make everybody an listen, if you opened up that door, that's a good point. Maybe he would open up the door to be all kinds of liable for all kinds of things if he does it. But then What? Then you leave this young man? And what if there are other children? Exactly, B. Sanita. Ramir's mom was like 15, right? I don't think it's a good enough reason. It's not my fault that they couldn't keep their peen in their in their pants or wherever the hell it was kept. You know? Yes, you're welcome, Impress Healer. Shout out to you. I just want to make sure because I know people are coming in late. So shout out to everybody. If there's something that I can go over, I will do my best to do it. And we have it, Diddy Docket is on it. And I wouldn't be able to have known this news if it wasn't for Diddy Docket. So the breaking news is truly credited to Diddy Docket on Twitter. Make sure you check out Diddy Docket. Allegedly. So you get a test and you get a test and you get a test. It's Joy Miller. Everybody get tested. Listen, he said, yeah, I wouldn't try to use that as an excuse if I was trying to get away from something. I'm just saying, you're right. Ramier is grown and he still deserves to know. I think that regardless, maybe he never had a relationship with this. It doesn't look like he did, but I'm sorry. But if I'm trying to find out who my father is, I want to test people that I believe my mother could have connected with. Yeah, that shouldn't take away from any. And he's not asking necessarily for, child support. That's not. He's asking for. He was trying to establish this before, and he's trying to repair himself from that. I'm here for it. I'm here for it. I think he deserves it. But the one thing I don't like, and I will say about Ramier, is there is this maybe because he can't say it all, but there is this undertone of like secrecy that I'm like, can we just get to the age of like revealing everything? You know what I mean? I don't know. See, I wonder if he's referring to his godmom. Like, did she get sick? Did something else happen to is that what it is? Did she get sick? Is everything okay? But if it's not, I mean, does he have other paternity? Like Elite Leo said right here, well, if he takes this thing, he would open himself up for other people to say, I'm your child. I'm your child. Okay, so are there other children? Are there other children? I'm just saying, yeah, I think people deserve to know the truth, and especially him. It is common for there to be a significant amount of false and misleading information circulating around high profile and long running legal cases, especially those involving celebrities. Absolutely. Didn't we learn that a lot with the Diddy case? Didn't we have a bunch of misinformation? I'm here for the fact that people let's talk about it real quickly. The Diddy case was nothing what a lot of us thought it would be, right? We did not think that the Diddy case would be like at least for me, I'll speak for myself. I'm thinking there's going to be tunnels, underage children, all kinds of ish. And it wasn't even that. Look at this. Eternity says Jay paid out a daughter older than Ramier. If he's got children out there, then he needs to do it. It says Ramier can't even get an attorney. He could have easily got one. No attorney wants to touch it because they know it's BS. Ramier wasn't even requesting to test his filing. He asked for money. But you just said that Ramier was grown. Did you just say that Ramier was grown? I thought you. So, I mean, which one is it? If you're filing a civil lawsuit, is because you're getting some kind of you want some compensation. That's the reality of it. Maybe something that, and honestly, what could he have done in the criminal system with this situation? Even now, let's say that it was that he is the father. Let's just put that out there. Allegedly. Could Jay-Z be now found, have a criminal case over this? His mother's gone. I don't know what else that would come out of that. Honestly. I don't know. You said, dude doesn't look like Jay-Z in my opinion. My humble opinion, says Sixth Amendment freedom. People, I think he looks like him. I think he gave birth to him. Allegedly, and in my opinion, I do think that he has some, doesn't mean it's his child, but it does kind of look like him, They got to bring Maury from retirement so we can do these tests. Just saying. What compensation? Reimbursement for the DNA test that he paid and took? There you go. Maybe it's that. I don't know. Harassment? There's been a lot of stuff that has been said. I don't know, guys. You said yes. Okay. Said I'm not giving the liar Jay-Z an excuse, but his dumb mind, if these paternity tests goes to court, proves his dad, then it would show his Pedialyte and paid off judges for years to dismiss the case. Listen, I don't know, but I'm not giving him any excuses. And Jay-Z's going to fight the way that he sees fit. Sorry, he does look, I think he looks like him, but I mean, listen, I don't know how you cannot see it. He looked like he birthed the kid, or the young adult, or the adult, because he's definitely an adult now. He doesn't want to crack that. You said, okay, Ramier provided his DNA to Jay-Z's team back in 2011. Jay-Z could have done this privately more than a decade ago. Y'all, look at the timing, more than a decade ago. Ramier was what's legal fees for years of proving that Jay is his. Okay. Wants legal fees. Is that what you mean? Jay will owe that man restitution. Daryl, what do you mean? How would he owe him restitution for the legal stuff that he's gone through? I don't know what his mom looks like, but for real, he looks like Jay-Z. Yeah, there's a picture of him. There's a picture of Jay-Z and his mom. I mean, we could pull that. Let's see. Jay-Z and Ramir's mom. This has been shown so many times. You cannot even say that there's any AI. Look, I mean, this is, let's see if I can pull it. I've seen it. Where's it at? I mean, and even if it's not his, the thing is at least in my opinion, it would make sense to just go ahead and do the test, have this be done, because then if it's not his son, then he clears his name. Isn't that what Jay-Z wants to do, is clear his name? I can't pull the picture. I've seen a picture of them both. Here it is. Is this it? Yep. I got it. Let me show y'all. This is from one of the Barb's Twitter accounts. That's Jay-Z and that's the mother. And it's a very, very blurry picture right there, but that's Jay and that's Ramir's mom. We need one of those morph pictures. Oh my God. Yo, you should show a picture of Jay-Z when he was really, really young. There's a video of like the one in the first rap before he was there, before he was famous. Yeah. He does look like him, but of course a picture is not enough. There needs to be a DNA test. And I think, I don't know what made, the question is, the question is this: what made Ramier file a motion to have this dismiss, or excuse me, not even dismiss. Let me not misquote myself. Here it is. What made, here it is. Withdraw. Why did he withdraw from this? What made Ramier do this? I'd clear my name. Another man, Robert Graves, took the test and he was cleared. It's very specific, Daryl, right? It's very specific. They're twins. Have you guys looked at pictures? His looks just like him. Come on, it does look like him, but you need more than that. He is the father in my Maury voice, says Shauna Johnson. Sorry, Rabbit. It's been confirmed that's not Ramir's mom. That's Jay-Z's ex, Stephanie, aka Fanny. Really? I didn't know that. Who confirmed this? So that was a girlfriend of Jay-Z? That's not Ramir's mom? How did they confirm this? Did Stephanie, Fanny speak out? That's the first I've heard of that one. Man, I swear to God, we got these doppelgangers all over the place. What kind of dance y'all think Jay-Z gonna do when he reads, "You are not the..." I don't know. I was not a fan of the Maury Povich show. I didn't like that damn show. I didn't like Maury for doing that show for the longest time. Gotta go to the 99 Problems video because Ramier looks just like him. Well, somebody said in the chat, who was it? Is it I Bambi? Sorry, Rabbit. It's been confirmed that's not Ramir's mom. That's Jay-Z's ex, Stephanie, aka Fanny. Dang. How do y'all know that? Didn't Jay-Z's legal team call his godmother and she hung up on him? That's what Jay-Z's legal team said, right? Vibe did? When was this? Can you tell me what year and I could pull up the article? Because they're saying, you guys are saying this was written by, I mean, these are just tabloids, y'all. So take it for what it's worth. Let me see if I can pull it again. See where they got that info from, okay? It's tabloid. Let's see. All about Nicki Minaj Pink Friday out. But people said when I posted this picture, I was wrong. It's okay, though. I will always fact check. This is the Inquirer. This is what they wrote. The National Enquirer, go figure. So even if you fact check, I don't think this is the most reliable source. If you're using that as a source. The time the National Enquirer put Jay-Z on blast about Ramier. He was 23 years old then. What year was this? This is in 2017. This publication was in 2017. He's been dealing with this for a couple years. Same with me. This woman looks like Jay used to work with. People are slow. Okay. Maybe it's a lie. How come Jay-Z didn't sue the National Enquirer over that? This specific picture was put by the National Enquirer and it stuck. LOL. They've been using it. But see, why didn't Jay-Z go after the National Enquirer if that was the case? Did he ever sue for that? He's a carbon copy of Jay-Z. Okay. Well, that was the breaking news. Shout out to Diddy Docket for breaking the news. But I do have to wonder, and I have a lot of questions. Why? Why, my friends? Why is he moving this? Why is he being, oh my gosh, that's not even, well, we're going to go there here in a minute. But why is he being so, what's the word? Hold up. Here it is. This is it's very subliminal. I'm kind of tired of the, I mean, look, I really hope that Ramier finds out the truth, if that's what he's looking for, of the situation, but I'm kind of tired of the subliminal. This was done due to changes to my case we're not aware of. What were they not aware of? We will explain soon, but it's all about my mother now. Godmother? I don't know if we'll ever find out, guys. Honestly. You said it's a renewed Q conspiracy movement are beginning to question the entire narrative, the recent scandal surrounding it. Okay. Well, I mean, I did have my tinfoil hat for a minute. You know what I mean? I wore it for a little bit. I'm about to take it off now. Let's take it off. Okay, guys. So that was a breaking news, and we talked about it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. In your opinion, if you're watching the replay. Oh, by the way, hit the like button. It is free. It doesn't cost anything, and it helps me not be suppressing this algorithm that doesn't like people talking about various cases, including Jay-Z. Okay, I haven't even eaten anything, so I brought a snack over here. But that's okay. I just had so much stuff going on this morning. Speaking of conspiracy theories, all right. So, and those that are not, in my opinion, did y'all know? Yes. How did we miss this news yesterday? Epstein's lawyer died. I mean, he's 80, okay? But okay. Ozzy died. I guess this lawyer involved in the Epstein case died at the age of 80. I just always have to say that I find this whole thing different. You know what I mean? You said, does Ramier say anything? No, he doesn't. We're waiting for him to say something. Hold up. Let me see. We know Rock Nation systematically uses the legal system to drain people and silence them. That's why we got to keep an eye on Rock Nation. Weird how people connected to Trumpstein come up expired during the administration. Ooh. Shout out to Mama Llama who just made up. You didn't make it up. You said it a couple days ago. She called it Trump stain. Tell me, how's that work? A lawyer dies. Well, he's 80 years old. So maybe it was like an old age thing. I don't know. Older, you know? He helped him secure the plea deal. Sacrifices are made by many for the great work. He helped him secure this plea deal. Excuse me. Jeffrey Epstein's former attorney, who secured plea deal dead at 80. Roy Black was his name. He was a prominent defense attorney who helped secure Jeffrey Epstein's 2008 plea deal, has died, according to his law partner. Black died on Monday at his home in Coral Gables at the age of 80 after an illness. His law partner, Howard Serbnik, said, "For more than 30 years, Roy was my teacher, mentor, and friend." So his partner told the Associated Press, "The losses I feel personally and professionally are immeasurable. Black's death marks the end of a career in defense law spanning for over 5 decades." So this was him. Why it matters. Black rose to national prominence after working on major legal cases, including winning acquittals in the 1991 R trial of William Kennedy Smith, a nephew of the late President John F. Kennedy. The trial was a watershed moment in criminal defense, as most of it was broadcast live on national television, with the blue dot obscuring the identity of the accuser. They had a blue dot. What to know. So Black also played a role in Epstein's legal defense during his 2006 Florida criminal case involving charges of soliciting prostitution from underage girls. Okay, so this guy's gone, all right? God knows what he knew, or what he could, how he secured that deal, because I'm not a lawyer or anything like that, but I have a lot of questions about this. He says, let me see what you guys are saying. The great work. I mean, we all need defense attorneys, right? Even criminals, even Pedialites need defense attorneys, right? I don't like it, but they do. You said the lawyer was the one making adjustments with the concept to Jeffrey's indictment on Jeff's behalf. Imagine that you can edit your own indictment. Yeah, Florida. Maybe Jerry Springer or Dr. Phil talked about some controversial reveals. How do we do a daddy reveal party? Miller. Oh my God, y'all are still on JC. The prosecutor who made Jeffrey Epstein controversial in 2008 plea deal in Florida was Alexander Acosta, who was the U.S. attorney for the Southern District of Florida at the time. Okay. So, all right. So let's get to this. In 2008, Epstein avoided more severe federal charges by pleading guilty to state charges of procuring a person under the age of 18 for prostitution and solicitation of prostitution. Epstein was sentenced to 18 months in prison. He served 13 months. Two women subsequently filed a lawsuit saying that the deal violated federal law because they were never given an opportunity to object or adequately consult about the deal. Roy Black, who was one of Epstein's lawyers, said in court papers that there was no conspiracy to violate victim rights, and the plea bargain was no sweetheart deal by any stretch of imagination, per The Guardian. So that 2007, I'm sorry, Mr. May he rest in peace, but let me just say this. How does a Pedialyte get that kind of a deal? I don't get it. I consider it to be a sweetheart deal, because it's not like he was sentenced to. I mean, this is a notorious Pedialyte. Okay. So Roy Black, who was one of Epstein's lawyers, said in court paperwork there was no conspiracy to violate victims' rights. Okay. I still feel like they're being violated today because we can't even get the files, but okay. And the plea bargain was no sweetheart deal by any stretch of the imagination, per The Guardian. In 2015, Black filed motions to block the release of emails and letters that Epstein lawyers sent to federal prosecutors during plea negotiations. He and Martin Weinberger argued that Epstein would be can't even pronounce this word. Hold up. Let me make sure I said it correctly. Irreparably harmed. Let's see. How do you say irreparably? Thank you, Google. Thank you, Google. Shout out to Google sometimes. Okay. Sometimes they get their ish right and they're helping me. Irreparably. Hold up. Let's say it again. Irreparably. Thank you. Ooh, thank you. I love the Google voice. Okay. He would be harmed, irreparably harmed, if they were made public. Epstein later died in a jail cell in New York in 2019. So in 2015, Black, this lawyer, filed motions to block release of emails and letters that Epstein lawyers sent to federal prosecutors during the plea negotiation. And they did that because they felt like Epstein would be irreparably harmed. He would be harmed by this information being released. Are you shitting me? Like, this is the thing about this justice system that really gets to me. It's so backwards. We do a much better job at protecting the Pedialyte than we do the victims. We're worried about harming them, but we're not worried about the harm that they've done to the victims, right? You have got to be kidding. Oh, no, not his reputation. We don't want to harm Epstein's reputation. Mr. Roy Black said this. Get out of here. Yeah, I know. Why would anybody care? That's right. It's ass backwards completely. You can't make this up. Anyways, let's keep going. So he's saying that if this information was made public, Epstein would be harmed. Okay. Epstein later died in jail in New York in 2019. During his career, Black defended a number of high-profile clients, including pop star Justin Bieber, who faced allegations of drag racing and driving a car under the influence. Wasn't that I think he almost got deported for that. Bieber later pled guilty to the lesser charge of misdemeanor and careless driving and resisting arrest. Black also helped race car driver Helio Castroneves win acquittal in cases alleging tax evasion. Fellow defense attorney David O. Marcus told the Associated Press that in Miami, Black was viewed in the legal circles as the GOAT, i.e. the greatest of all time, comparing him to the NBA Hall of Famer Michael Jordan in the league. They do those comparisons? Okay, listen. Okay. What people are saying, David O. Marcus told the AP he worked harder than any lawyer I know and that he outlawed every prosecutor whoever went up against. I will miss him. His impact on the criminal defense is beyond measure. Okay. Everybody's going to miss him. I still want to know why we're protecting or why we were so worried about Epstein and his reputation. It makes no sense whatsoever. You said the check has been cleared. Be nice. The end. The check is cleared. The end. Okay. That's it. That is crazy. I cannot believe that I just read that. So, I mean, he really, in defense of this situation, but let's talk about the victims now. Let's say this. Okay. Nate the Lawyer, you guys know, is one of my favorite YouTubers, law tubers, did a video and I was like, ooh, look at this. Remember when I was telling you guys that, and it's on his thumbnail. Remember when I was telling you guys that when he signed that 2000, when Epstein signed that 2000 little non-prosecutorial deal, who received immunity or what? We probably don't know, but there's been a lot of people. This is why they can't move forward today charging all these people, because the alleged co-conspirators, those in the picture, those are the faces that we pulled. Those in the picture in that thumbnail likely received immunity. Okay. We're going to watch this and let me know what you guys think.
Any of Jeffrey,
because this is crazy, because I was like, well, maybe that's why. Maybe this is what it is. Listen, Nate the Lawyer breaks it down. I'm going to run and get my drink real quick. Okay. And let me know what y'all think.
He made a deal with prosecutors not to be prosecuted, and prosecutors reneged on that deal, and he was set free.
Well, Bill Cosby is a free man today after a stunning decision by the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. The actor spent nearly 3 years behind bars on a sexual assault conviction. However, the court vacating Cosby's conviction because of an agreement Cosby had with a prosecutor.
Jesse Smollett made a deal with prosecutors who didn't even have authority to make the deal, and the court said he was set free.
Breaking news out of Illinois, where the state Supreme Court there has overturned Jesse Smollett's 2021 conviction. Smollett convicted on charges of falsely reporting a 2019 hate crime against himself.
Ghislaine Maxwell, she also has a deal with prosecutors that says she is immune from prosecution. They reneged on that deal and sent her to jail for 20 years.
In their petition, her defense attorneys write in part, quote, a defendant should be able to rely on a promise that the United States will not prosecute again without being subject to a gotcha in some other jurisdiction that chooses to interpret that plain language promise in some other way. We're asking this morning, what are the chances Maxwell's conviction gets overturned?
So the U.S. government entered into an agreement that it would not prosecute any of Jeffrey Epstein's co-conspirators, no matter who they are, no matter where they were. But Ghislaine Maxwell was prosecuted by the United States government.
No matter who they are or where they were or where they are. Maybe that's who they're protecting. Maybe they're protecting all these people that have already received immunity, and maybe we were just not aware of it.
Government, even though the government said it wouldn't. So let's talk about Ghislaine Maxwell's appeal to the Supreme Court. Okay, so let me break this down very concisely so we all understand what's going on. First, let's talk about what happened. Now, most of you who know about the Epstein story can fast forward this part, but this is just going to be a quick background on Epstein, why Ghislaine Maxwell's in jail, and then we can talk about why she's asking the court to overturn it. So back in 2005, a Florida family reported that an underage person had been abused by someone in power. The police gathered evidence and found several more victims. And in July 2006, Jeffrey Epstein was indicted for solicitation of prostitution and a whole bunch of other crimes. Now, in 2007, Epstein negotiated what's known as a non-prosecution agreement, or NPA, with federal prosecutors.
We read that, guys. We read that very thoroughly. We reviewed it, and they released names. So you have to kind of wonder if the women that, because it was all women that were named in that indictment that we read here. And shout out to Diddy Docket, because I actually got it from Diddy Docket. So I do wonder if the reason why they're not moving forward is because a lot of the people that have already been mentioned have received immunity, or they signed deals and they can't do anything about it now at this point.
Led by U.S. Attorney Alexander Acosta. Acosta actually went on to become Labor Secretary under President Trump in his first administration. Now, in this non-prosecution agreement, when you scroll down to page 5 of 7, in consideration of Epstein's agreement to plead guilty and to provide compensation in the manner described above, if Epstein successfully fulfills all the terms and conditions of this agreement, the United States also agrees it will not institute any criminal charges against any potential co-conspirator of Epstein, included but not limited to Sarah Keelan, Adriana Ross, Leslie Goff, or Nadia Morrison-Kova. So this agreement was so thorough that it immunized not only Epstein, but anyone who co-conspired with Epstein to commit these crimes. And this,
see that? So maybe this is why the issue is. That's why they can't say, well, and who, God knows what other third parties there are out there that have already been immunized. I think that's the word. Shout out to Nate the lawyer. Because when I saw this video, I said, well, I didn't even think of that. What if everybody, all the people, these are just a couple names, but what if there's more people and they can't prosecute them because they've already made deals with them without our knowledge? So you think that this would have been something that if Trump was running and using this in his campaign to kind of promote transparency, he would have said this narrative that was pushed, well, we're going to drain the swamp. We're going to do this. But wait a minute. But some of these people have already received deals. What?
This is a very, very, very strange agreement because generally you can only make a plea agreement for yourself. You can't make a plea agreement to immunize everyone who may have worked with you in the criminal organization. But the government said it was okay for Epstein to do that. So with this deal in place, this meant someone like Ghislaine Maxwell, who was one of Epstein's co-conspirators, would be immune from federal prosecution in the Epstein case. And also, any of those adults who may have been doing interesting things with underage people would also be immune. Now, Epstein fulfilled his part of the agreement, and in 2019, Epstein was arrested again. Now, we all know what happened to Epstein. He never made it to trial because of things that happened in a maximum security prison while he's under self-harm watch. But
this is a good question. I do wonder. But isn't this applicable to federal and Florida and federal charges only? And Maxwell case is in New York. I don't know. It's a great question. Are they the same people? I do wonder. I wonder.
We're not going to go into that. Epstein is now gone. And the only other person you can really hold accountable is Ghislaine Maxwell because she's been in the press. She was Epstein's number one, and she was the, quote, madam of the whole operation. So Maxwell is arrested and she is prosecuted based on being one of Jeffrey Epstein's co-conspirators. But hold on, you may say, hold on. What about that agreement that gave Ghislaine Maxwell and all the Epstein co-conspirators immunity? What about that deal? Can't she say that that protects her from prosecution? Well, you would be right, because that's the first thing she brought up before the trial. Like, hey, I'm immune from prosecution by the feds because we have an agreement in place. Jeffrey Epstein's agreement clearly states they can't go after any of his co-conspirators. And on top of that, Jeffrey Epstein fulfilled his part of the agreement. So at the trial court level and at the Second Circuit Court of Appeals, they said no. First, both courts acknowledged that Ghislaine Maxwell does have immunity. Quote, in arguing that the NPA, non-prosecution agreement, barred her prosecution by the U.S. Attorney's Office of the Southern District of New York, Maxwell cites the portion of the non-prosecution agreement which the United States, blah, 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 agrees that it would not institute any criminal charges against any potential co-conspirators of Epstein.
So if she was under immunity, that's a good question. Why was she convicted? Is it like a different state? This is some ish, you guys. This is so backwards. I'm telling you, all of this is so backwards. The way it's set up. Is it just, I'm like, wait, so how come, why didn't, unless, and this is me, let me get my tinfoil back hat on, what they say about Ghislaine's dad, that he's like connected to other things, and there's more connection there, and this is deeper than them.
But then that court goes on to conclude that that agreement only is good in the Southern District of Florida, and the Southern District of New York can prosecute Ghislaine Maxwell and upheld the conviction. So what the court is essentially saying is that everyone who is protected under this agreement is only protected in the Southern District of Florida. So they can be prosecuted anywhere else in the country if one of those U.S. prosecutors chooses to do so. Now, this was the opinion of the Second Circuit Court of Appeals, but in the United States, there are 13 different circuits. And these 13 different circuit courts don't always agree. And when it comes to this issue, where if you make an agreement with one federal prosecutor in one district, whether it covers the entire United States or just covers that one particular district, the circuits are split. For instance, the Third Circuit, the Fourth Circuit, the Eighth Circuit, and the Ninth Circuit all agree that if the government comes to a non-prosecution deal in any district, it binds all U.S. attorneys nationwide. So let's apply this to the Maxwell situation. If Ghislaine Maxwell was being prosecuted in the Third Circuit, then those federal prosecutors would not have been able to charge or convict her on any crime because they would have held that the agreement in Florida applied in the Third Circuit. Now, that is obviously very different than what happened in the Second Circuit. And the Seventh Circuit also has this rule that unless the agreement itself says it's nationwide, then the agreement is limited to the District district in which it's made. So as of right now, you have 2 circuits saying, hey, those agreements are localized to those districts. And you have 4 circuits saying, no, those agreements apply nationwide. Who?
Oh my God. Shout out to Nick the lawyer. But this is just so overwhelming. You can be under immunity and still be convicted? Is that the question? I guess. I don't know, girl. I don't know.
Who makes the call to determine which side is right? Are the 4 circuits that say it's nationwide, are they right? Or are the 2 circuits, the minorities, who says it applies only to the district, are they correct? Now, when you have such a circuit split as we have in this particular case, the Supreme Court generally takes the case to resolve the circuit split, because you don't want to have a situation like we have now, where if Ghislaine Maxwell was in the 3rd Circuit, she wouldn't be able to be prosecuted. But if she crosses the border to the 2nd Circuit, she could get a lifetime prison sentence. So now I'm going to ask you to play Supreme Court justice. Here is the question presented to the court. Does a promise made by a United States attorney on behalf of the United States to not prosecute co-conspirators bind other federal districts or that one U.S. attorney's office? Now, honestly, I do not think the Supreme Court is...
Bingo. Hold up. Pika says immunity is jurisdictional, ... So if I am given immunity in one jurisdiction, am I given immunity in another? What do y'all think? What if she isn't in jail? I didn't know. I mean, I assumed, but here's the deal. Maybe I shouldn't have assumed, but is immunity just jurisdictional? What if it's a federal case? I mean, that would be for everything, right? Okay. All right. Hold up. Let me hit play.
going to take this case at all. But if they do, here is why I think Maxwell probably has the better argument. First, the Supreme Court precedents seem to favor a nationwide interpretation, where an agreement in one district binds the entire government nationwide. And one case I like to point to is Giglio v. United States, 405 U.S. 150 from 1972. In that case, the Supreme Court held that the prosecutor is a representative of the United States, not a local agent. It says, quote, "The prosecutor's office is an entity. A promise made by one attorney must be attributed to the government." And essentially allowing one district to resolve a criminal matter, but allowing another district to take up that same matter and prosecute that person after a guilty plea seemingly violates both due process and double jeopardy principles. Now, the second reason I think Maxwell's argument is more persuasive is that most circuits, or the majority of circuits, agree with Maxwell's position. The Third Circuit, Fourth Circuit, Eighth Circuit, and Ninth Circuit all hold that a promise made by one U.S. attorney binds the entire federal government. And the Second Circuit's opinion that it doesn't is a minority rule, only held in the Second and Seventh Circuit. Now, if the Supreme Court does take this case, I don't know how they would rule, but I believe that when the United States enters into a non-prosecution agreement and promises immunity to co-conspirators, that promise binds federal prosecutors nationwide unless the agreement explicitly limits its scope. Now,
hold up. That girl looks like an actress that I know. Who is this? Oh, okay. Never mind. Sorry. She looks very much like her.
Before you guys jump down my throat and says, "Hey, Nate, you're protecting these crazy elites who've done these horrible things to children," I'm giving you a hard law lesson here. I think Maxwell should be in jail for life, but I'm talking about a legal outcome based on the laws we have on the books. And this is not the first time something like this has happened. Bill Cosby, for instance. Bill Cosby had a non-prosecution agreement with the DA out there in Philadelphia. The DA reneged on the deal and prosecuted him, sent him to jail in the state Supreme Court. It went all the way up to the Supreme Court, and they said, no, he had a deal, set him free. And now Bill Cosby is free because the prosecutors had a deal and had to uphold the deal. Jussie Smollett. In his case, the local district attorney didn't even have authority to make a deal with Jussie, but they did anyway. And Jussie did pay $10,000 fine and did community service. And the Supreme Court said, hey, because he did everything you told him to do, and he believed that the state's attorney had the authority to make the deal, even though the state's attorney did not have the authority to make the deal.
It is very confusing. It's just a breakdown of the, yeah, she looks like Mishka Barton. I was like, that girl looks so familiar. I think I know that actress. It's a lot. It doesn't seem like a giant waste of time of money. Oh my goodness.
the state Supreme Court upheld the deal. So I think in terms of consistency, fairness, and integrity of federal promises and the federal court system, the federal government is one sovereign. And if a representative of that sovereign says, we're not going to prosecute you if you plead guilty, and we're not going to prosecute any of your friends if you plead guilty, and if you do your part of the deal, I don't believe they can renege on their part of the deal. All right, so now I'm going to do this, even though I know I'm going to pain me because I'm going to have to read all the comments, but I'm asking you to tell me in the comments section, where do you come out on this case? Now, we all know Ghislaine Maxwell's a horrible person, deserves life in prison. No one doubts that. But I'm asking you to look at this not as an advocate, but as a justice, someone who's looking at this neutrally. Now, to make it very, very clear.
Oh, that's going to be hard. That's going to... It's a big club and you ain't in it. Somebody said in the comments, the system is being effed. This is like, I mean, this is what I understood from the video, which by the way, is a very, if I'm not a lawyer, I understand that things go by jurisdictions and then there's numbers. If you get charged here, if you're there, and certain deals and people got to work together and all this other stuff. And so just because you're promised something here doesn't necessarily mean that you're promised over there. And it does make you wonder, though. It just doesn't seem like maybe because I'm looking at things as an advocate, it just doesn't seem right to have had these people make immunity deals, which it sounds like maybe that's what they did. This is why we're not hearing other parties. That's a lot of immunity deals if it's 1,000 victims and only Epstein and Maxwell are the ones that go down.
There. The government has acknowledged Ghislaine Maxwell has immunity from prosecution. No one denies that. We're talking about the extent of that immunity. The majority of circuits in the United States says she does, and she shouldn't have been prosecuted. A minority of circuits says she doesn't. Which side do you agree with? And before I get out of here, I do want to say the Jeffrey Epstein deal from 2007 and gave all known and unknown co-conspirators immunity. That is a sweeping deal. That's crazy. But it shows you how powerful the elites are, at what lengths the government will go to protect them. And I'm just going to be honest with you people. You'll never get anything from the Epstein list. You just won't. And to show you how deep this goes, that deal they gave Jeffrey Epstein, essentially, if the Supreme Court does take this case and holds that none of their co-conspirators can be prosecuted, all of those people who are listed in those documents who may have done things with underage people will essentially have immunity for life. Insane old stuff. I know that's the fear, but understand this is where law and emotions come to the head. For Bill Cosby case, the same thing. For Jussie Smollett case, the court had to overcome the tragedies of those facts, the horrors of what had happened, and make the best decision based on the law. And I'm asking, can you do that? It's a tough job, but I got faith in you. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe, do all that great YouTube stuff. If you
shout out to Nate, the lawyer. Girl, I just looked it up. Immunity covers you in any state in the U.S. And does it depend on the crime, or is it just any crime? Because I feel like there's contingencies upon that when it comes to that. I think that's why Epstein was arrested and charged again when he flew into New Jersey and then he left Paris and came back to the United States. Feds were waiting for him in the Jersey soil. My goodness, Nate is great and amazing. I mean, it's a lot to explain. Now, here's another situation, guys. Another situation, right? Ian Maxwell, Gigi's brother, Ghislaine's brother, okay, went on Piers Morning. Did you all put a one in the chat if you watched this? Because I haven't watched it all, and I was like, oh, I want to watch it with my people and see what they say about this. So he did an interview with the brother, okay? I'm kind of wondering what you guys think. You guys watched it. What did you guys think? You put it. Well, look at you guys were ahead of me. Okay. You saw this mess? My goodness. I couldn't finish it. Okay. Not Gigi's. It's Gigi's brother. You know, the prosecutor who basically do whatever they want, in my opinion. She said one. Oh my goodness. It was a poo show? I wait for you to show Piers. I can't take his show on my own. You're like, we're going to react together. We're going to do it together. Oh, my God. All right. Well, let me see. Hold up. Before we start with Nate, let's see how many likes we got here. Make sure you guys are getting those likes up. And shout out to everybody that has supported the stream so far. Brothers just BSing defending Ghislaine. Whew. All right. Okay. Let's get it together.
His brother, and he joins me now in the Uncensored studio. Ian, welcome to Uncensored.
How come he's got an easy name and she got a really hard name? I'm just saying.
You're her brother, Ghislaine. So let me start by asking you for your reaction to two bits of breaking news today. The first was that the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, has directed for her deputy to go and see Ghislaine in prison. What is your response to that, first of all?
Well, you really have to ask yourself, why didn't the DOJ ask to speak to Ghislaine before they indicted her? Why?
That's a great question. And we did ask that yesterday. They're under this pressure. Now they want to talk to her. Actually, was it Brian Tyler who did a video? I thought was very interesting, very much aligning the timeline of they wouldn't speak to her. And now that Congress wants to speak to her, they're over here. Oh my God, we got to talk to her too. We're willing to talk to her. We're willing. Mm-hmm. It's cute. We're willing to talk to her. I don't know. They're jumping all over it and they have to. And we're seeing them sweat as this is happening. I love it. I'm here for it.
Why is it only now? And the reason I say that is because in 2019, after Epstein died and up until Ghislaine's own arrest in 2020, she was, to the best of her knowledge and her lawyer's knowledge, not a target. She remained in the United States. They made her, Ghislaine, available for questions and kept on being said, she's not a target, she's not a target. Suddenly, bang, 60 officers come down on a house in New Hampshire where she was, huge show, this power of arrest and so forth. And then there is a disgraceful press conference organized by the DOJ's attorney in New York. And she is pointed at with a picture of Epstein, the subtext being, this woman is guilty. So we consider that all of that entire process was prosecutorial misconduct. And finally, they decided that they wanted to talk to her.
So this is the prosecutorial misconduct part that we were talking about. We were saying, well, what part was it misconduct? With the overcharging her? Do they feel like she got overcharged? What exactly? I mean, this is interesting that this is being presented the way that it is, but okay.
So you think it should have been done years ago?
Of course.
The second development is that the House Oversight Committee, Congress, has voted to subpoena Ghislaine. Will she be willing, from your understanding, will she be willing to talk to both the Deputy Attorney General and to be deposed by the United States Congress?
Well, this has happened quite literally, and I've only heard it, as you have at the same time, in the last 5 minutes about the Republicans deciding that they're going to subpoena her. At the moment, Ghislaine's lawyer, David Oscar Marcus, has indicated that he is talking to the government to set up this originally requested meeting with Todd Blanche. Once this is going on, you need to be aware that Ghislaine is involved in multiple live legal proceedings. She has a live petition in front of the Supreme Court. The government has chosen to oppose that. The same DOJ that is wanting to interview her is opposing it simultaneously. It's quite an unusual position, but that is what the position is. So she has to respond and has to rebut that opposition. That's one set of proceedings ongoing. Then she has to decide how to deal with this particular request that's come in from the DOJ. Now we know that there's a subpoena request coming into Congress, which has to be considered. And in addition to all of that, she has a live, not yet live legally, but in the process of being prepared, motion, which is known as a habeas corpus motion, to be brought in front of the district court back in New York, in which she's entitled to bring new evidence that was not available at her trial, showing government misconduct.
We talked about this. This is what her attorney said that they were going to do. But notice the tone of the attorney too. We're willing to meet and speak with, the attorney general, Ted Blanchard, and whatever the hell his name is, and everybody else to work with Trump on this situation. Now they're willing to meet. The thing is that this isn't about truth, guys. This woman right here, I don't care how you paint it. At the end of the day, she is not a innocent bystander of any situation when it came to Jeffrey Epstein. They're going to work with her to figure out what is going to be what she knows and what they're going to look into. Nobody's going to get prosecuted. I highly doubt it from this. Why didn't they talk to her before? Why now? If we had a different president, let me ask you guys a question here in the chat. Yeah, they want a deal, right, Natasha? Let me ask you guys a question in the chat. If it wasn't for the fact that we had Trump, right? Say it's a different president, would we still have the same energy? Right? Because I kind of do have to wonder about that. I'm like, well, we'll say that it was like a different kind of president and it wasn't Trump. It does make you wonder. And it goes both ways because he's got this, like Trump is doing this magic show for us, right? Look over here. Don't look over here. We've done this and that and the other, but don't look over here. Don't look over here. Don't do it. It's bad. Yes, honey.
Prior to the trial, in the trial, and post the trial, including, for example, the now, as far as we're concerned, confirmed perjury of one particular juror who perjured himself in front of the judge at the hearing brought at her request as to why he did not disclose his prior sexual abuse on the jury selection form. So all of this is to say that Ghislaine didn't have a fair trial. That's the bottom line. And in order to be able to deal with all of these,
she didn't have a fair trial. Okay. I find it interesting that all this is coming out now. Why not Trump's first term or during the elections? He was still alive. It wouldn't have benefited Trump had this come out. Because when did he die? Trump was in office when he died. So he was still alive in his first term. And remember what what Epstein's brother said, who recently did an interview with Nancy Grace. And we're going to look into that too. He knew things about people in this 2016 election. He knew, right?
These things, while simultaneously being in prison, and a damn dangerous prison it is too. So it's very, very hard to see the sequencing of all of this.
If she's, as you say, a victim of a miscarriage of justice, then there would be no obvious reason why she would not want to cooperate with the authorities. I mean, particularly the chance to address Congress, for example.
Yeah, why didn't she want to cooperate with attorneys and people? Why didn't she want to do that? Was she still hung up on Jeffrey at the time? Sometimes people don't cooperate with authorities when they find themselves in that kind of situation because they're still hung up on, the guy that they're with, or they want to protect. I will say that it seemed this guy had a lot of girlfriends. Like, I found that to be amazing. It wasn't just Gigi, the number one. Like, he had a lot of girlfriends, So I do wonder if she kind of was like a ride and die type of situation. Then he dies and she can't ride anymore. She got to go.
The whole world would watch. And if she is as innocent as you say, then isn't that the perfect opportunity? Why wouldn't she? I mean, if she doesn't do that and she doesn't cooperate with the Attorney General's office, people are going to assume guilt, aren't they?
I don't think so. I think you have to you have to separate the agendas of everybody involved here. What is Ghislaine's agenda? She has been in jail over 5 years. She wants to get free. The reason she wants to be free is because the petition to the Supreme Court is one that says, I should never have been prosecuted because I was a beneficiary of the Jeffrey Epstein negotiated non-prosecution agreement. So her opening position is to say this should never have been brought.
But that's not the same as saying you're innocent.
Wait a minute. Well, the most important point is that if you should never have been prosecuted, you should never have been prosecuted. And I don't know what you have in mind when you say that.
Well, I simply say that would be a legal argument that you would be immune from being prosecuted. That doesn't mean automatically you're an innocent person. It just means that you may have been part of what many people think in relation to Epstein was a ridiculous farce in which somebody who clearly was a very predatory pedophile ends up getting an incredibly lenient sentence, albeit he remains a convicted pedophile. And so anyone associated with him in that case, if you were immune from prosecution, the court of public opinion is not going to view that as an assertion of your innocence. Summer is here and everyone knows to protect their skin from the sun. But what if you could also protect?
Let me skip over the little commercial.
Ghislaine was, her trial took place when she had one arm tied behind her back, both physically because she was abused significantly in the 2 years prior to trial. She was on a suicide watch. She was in an isolation cell. She was physically abused by the guards. She was woken up every 15 minutes and couldn't sleep for 2 years. So that's how she presented at trial. And then we now know that her trial was full of government misconduct from the start. She was unable to bring evidence in her own defense, on the one hand. And for example, I'll give you one example.
Well, she could have testified. She chose not to.
She was advised not to because her own defense was so, had been held below the water by the prosecution.
But after her conviction, she did appeal, and the appeals court rejected the appeal. So going to the Supreme Court is actually the next stage of the appeals process. But she's already had a court convict her, a jury. She's then had an appeals court of 3 judges uphold that conviction.
Well,
I understand. Listen, I would do everything I could for my sister.
Sure.
Let me be clear, okay? So I admire your attempts to get your sister out of prison, just on a human level. I understand it. And it must have been a horrendous thing for you as a brother to watch all this go down.
Push back.
We've got a clip. She gave an interview to Talk Television, actually. We've got a clip from that.
They wake you up at 6 and you can go to breakfast, which consists of a cereal and a piece of fruit, generally.
Yeah, I mean, that's great. That sounds like breakfast, cereal and a piece of fruit. What was she? Steak and eggs? Country fried steak? What would she want? What does she want exactly? Steak? What is it? IHOP? Pancakes? That sounds like you're being fed. I'm not understanding what's the abuse part. Now, if they got hands on her, there should be some kind of report on that. Did she report that or not? I don't know. I mean, that's what it's given, right? Shout out to Chico. Chico, I hope you have a good day at work. She got cereal and a piece of fruit. Okay, cool. That's cute. Hope she eats it all.
And then you have to make your bed sort of military style.
And it was quite a long interview, but I met her once at a book launch.
You gotta make your bed. Oh, no shit, Cheryl. Don't we all? Welcome to not having people serving you at your beck and call. Welcome, and except for hers, it's in prison. Listen, I'm here for it, but go ahead.
In New York, that she bore no relation physically to how she was then. I mean, just on a physical level, it's obvious what the impact of all this has had on her. But in relation to her innocence or otherwise, let's just get a few things on the table in terms of facts. From your understanding, when did she first meet Epstein? Because there is confusion about that. Some say it was an introduction by your father, Robert Maxwell, the publisher. Others say it was at a party or whatever. What's the truth?
My father was not involved. Right. Start with that. She met him, I believe, sometime in 1991. And either just before or just after our father died. And then was with him up until, I would say, sometime like late 90s. Right? And you could consider they were
in a relationship,
an item, correct? But this wasn't a relationship, a very standard relationship. They didn't live in the same home. He lived in his home, she lived in her home. She didn't have a key to his house.
Wait, I missed it. Did he enter? Like, he got nervous answering that question. Is it just me? Adrian says she doesn't even deserve frijoles. Don't even give her any frijoles. Okay, hold up. How did he meet her? Because he got kind of nervous. Let me repeat that again.
Epstein, because there is confusion about that.
Yeah, I'm confused.
Some say it was an introduction by your father, Robert Maxwell, the publisher. Others say it was at a party or whatever. What's the truth?
My father was not involved.
Right.
Start with that. She met him, I believe, sometime in 1991. And
said the daddy was not involved. Y'all need to stop it. He's an innocent man. I don't. This the way he answered that. I'm not a body expert, but he looked a little what's the word? Confusional, apprehensive, hurt.
Either just before or just after our father died, and then was with him up until, I would say, sometime like late 90s. Right? And you could consider they were
in a relationship,
an item, correct? But this wasn't a relationship, a very standard relationship. They didn't live in the same home. He lived in his home, she lived in her home. She didn't have a key to his house. He didn't have a key to her house. So they lived, they were intimate, but he did not share with her in any way what he was doing at any given time of the day. So we know because
What? Wait. Ian. Baby Money wants to tell everybody that this is orange. She's looking at the colors. Ian, sit down, because like he literally, what did he say? She didn't know. She didn't know. She did this all by herself. She didn't know. Ian, just what is Ian? I wouldn't be surprised if Epstein was a double agent. Lord have mercy. Dios bendiga a quienes buscan la verdad. Alma Patricia Zamora Rodriguez. Thank you so much for the comment. Thank you. What? Hey, what? They were companions. Randall girl, she didn't know. She didn't know. He said she didn't know, and I believe him. I believe Ian. I really, 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 really do. Especially the way in which he said that. Yep. I believe him. Mm-hmm.
I had a reason.
What was the reason?
I had a reason.
What was the reason?
I had a reason.
What was the reason?
I just explained the reason.
What was the reason, bitch?
I don't need to explain myself to you. And
What was the reason?
What was the reason for all of this shit right here that he just said? I don't know. But that deserved a Cardi B moment right there. Let's keep playing this, okay?
because evidence was already available before the start of the trial that there are emails written by Epstein to associates saying, do not show this to Ghislaine. Wait until Ghislaine has gone. Do not tell Ghislaine. So this is a very strange kind of situation. So I think it's entirely correct that the view of Ghislaine and Epstein was wrong in terms of the way that they interacted.
But in her...
Get the fuck... Okay, Piers. Listen, Piers. I don't like you, but you better do the shit that you do when you maneuver in this situation, because you got to do something here. What is he saying?
Court case, there were a number of people, not just the victims, but also housekeepers at various properties belonging to Epstein, who painted a picture of Ghislaine being his Miss Fix-It. She was the one that ran things. She was the one that couriered people around. She was the one that knew what he liked, even down to sexual peccadillos and so on. That she was, almost acting like his madame, for want of a better phrase. And there were a number of people, many people, who painted the same picture, that she wasn't just some peripheral lover on the side who had no knowledge of his movements. She was, in many cases, planning his movements.
We now know from grand jury transcripts of the 2007-8 indictment of Jeffrey.
Is this what we're going to see? Is this what we're going to see? Yeah, she was planning everything. So did everybody lie on her? Listen, all of this was a hoax. What was Epstein to Ghislaine? I don't know. I am so the gaslighting is on 10. So he's going to write the narrative different. And if she's given a little sweetheart deal, yeah, that's what they're going to do. Yep.
Epstein, the first time, which were released only in December 2024, so just a few months ago, by Governor DeSantis, that there is significant differences of what witnesses said, including witnesses, 3 or 4 of them, that came to the 2021 trial of Ghislaine, and what they said in the 2006-7 trial of indictment of Jeffrey Epstein. The defense were not provided those and could not, therefore, cross-examine the witnesses, including the women, the accusers, as to...
Wait. Rabbit House of Representatives had effectively ended this legislative session early, departing a day early than planned for their August recess due to contentious... Did this happen today, right now? That's interesting. Did it happen now?
Where this abuse took place, when this abuse took place, and it's critical because it goes to the ages of the girls in each case, not just isolated, and it goes to the veracity of core witnesses. And we know this, Piers, because of this.
I heard about this.
Juror number 50 turned out to have lied on his jury form.
You said that, yeah.
Now, it's not just that he lied on his jury form about his prior sexual abuse, but we know because he spoke to an independent journalist of The Independent about what went on in that jury room and what influence he personally had on other jurors, and crucially on bits of evidence and what was considered important by the jury and what was not considered.
Okay, but let me just, for those who are not as familiar with the case as you obviously are, and I am, the women victims who testified, Jane, Kate, and Carolyn were all pseudonyms. Annie Farmer testified under her real name. Testimony under oath from all these victims included Jane, who said that Ghislaine sometimes joined in on the sexualized massages with Epstein. Kate testified that Ghislaine had set up those sexual meetings. Carolyn testified that Ghislaine once touched her breasts, her hips, and her butt, told her she had a great body for Epstein and his friends. She was 14 at the time, she said. And Annie Farmer, who did give her, or wanted to testify under her real name, testified that when she was just 16, Ghislaine massaged her naked chest at Epstein's New Mexico ranch in 1996. Is your position that they were all lying?
Well, my position is that Ghislaine was never given the chance to cross-examine them properly on their testimony based on...
I understand that, but that's a different...
Based
that's a
on
different
new
question.
information
But that's a different
that
question.
was not available.
No, but that's a different question. Is your position, as her brother, who's obviously talked to her about this myriad times,
Well,
is your position that these victims are all lying?
I believe my sister. She has consistently told the truth. Her lawyer just this morning said that she fully intends to continue telling the truth.
Didn't she perjure herself at some point? I'm so confused by this. Adrian Jones, thank you so much for the $2. Is it me? These men have a woman fixer? SC times 2 Stein. It always seems like that's the case. And then this whole thing is weird. And even the brothers speaking. One joyful ladybug, thank you so much for the 189, and thank you, Adrian, for the 2. You said pick of Ramir's mom, keeping it real with Dr. Little YT. Interesting. Hold up, let me keep playing this.
And what's interesting is that as more and more things come out, more and more examples of misconduct come out, the truth of Ghislaine is also coming out. And therefore, the short answer to your question is that Ghislaine has denied all of this, and I believe that she's telling the truth.
But she stayed friends with Epstein after his conviction for being a paedophile.
No, I think the position is this. The relationship came to an end, I would say, around about 1999.
Right, but their friendship
in terms of an intimate relationship. Then in 2000, a key associate of Epstein, by the name of Sarah Kellum, was employed to do all of the arrangements of planes or whatever you will. The relationship between Ghislaine and Epstein at that point became essentially a professional relationship. And she was tasked with the renovations of his multiple houses and all that kind of
So
stuff.
how long did she continue to be friends with him? The ups and downs of the economy can be stressful and worrying. One of the smartest ways to protect your savings
I'm gonna
is
pass
with
forward the
diversification.
commercial, guys.
And you can start by talking to the expert at Birch.
It's hard to say. I mean, she was in a full-on relationship with a man called Ted Waite from 2003 to 2011. Certainly by the time of his conviction, I don't think that there was any meaningful continued interaction.
My point is this. She stayed pretty close to him and friendly with him. I'm not saying what particular capacity, I accept they weren't lovers, but she certainly didn't distance herself or disown him, despite his conviction for procuring sex with an underage prostitute. So my question for you is, you're convinced of her absolute innocence here, and yet she knew this guy that she was so close to was a convicted paedophile from 2008-9 onwards. And my question to you would be, well, why would she still hang around with it? It's a question I would ask Prince Andrew. He was asked it, of course, in the infamous Newsnight interview, and all the others, is that you can make an argument. Donald Trump never saw him or dealt with him again, according to what he and his people have said. But there are many people, including Ghislaine, who continued to hang out with him.
That's right. She was a ride or die until he died. He died. She don't have to ride anymore. That's what it is.
And if I was her brother, that would raise a few alarm bells with me about actually whether she's telling me the full story. Because there it is in black and white. He was a convicted paedophile.
Well, I would question on your facts as to hanging around or remaining close or remaining friendly. I don't think that's the case with Ghislaine, and I think your dates are wrong.
So she never saw him or talked to him again after 2008-9, after the conviction. That's not what's been reported.
Well, I think there is a picture, quite a well-known picture now, which was pointed to by the prosecutor when the day of Ghislaine's arrest, which shows her in quite a snug embrace with Epstein, which I think is dated to 2006 or something like that. Now, she was full out with this other fellow, Ted Waite, at the time, and
he's such a, I'm sorry, I don't like the brother. I really don't. I really don't. I don't. Even Prince Andrew said that he knew Epstein through her. But he's like, it's really not that. It's not what the media is making this relationship out to be, guys. It really isn't. She was letting her family think otherwise. She was definitely still with Epstein after the time frame from her brother is throwing out there. This don't make sense. So conveniently, only one person is guilty of all these crimes, and he's no longer around. How convenient! Like they're just listen. Are we kidding me? It's the gaslighting for us. The brother over here talking. He was not around there, and he was one of 7 siblings. So why this brother? This is crazy, and we don't accept it. Take it back, Piers. We don't accept this.
We know that they bumped into Epstein at some social event, and he grabbed her around the neck, and someone took a picture. So, I mean, I'm not saying that they never saw each other, but it's that type of context in which that took place.
Do you know how much money Epstein paid her?
How much
money he paid her over the years?
No,
because she was leading an extraordinarily affluent life, and no one was quite sure where all this money came from. And the presumption is it was her fees from Epstein.
I don't think that's entirely right. I mean, she was a very talented girl. She was an NASD trader in her own right. She had various skills which she was able to turn into, including decorating houses, all the rest of it. So I don't accept that Epstein was her sole source of money, and nor do I believe that it's as vast as you paint it.
Well, I didn't say sole, and I didn't put a figure on it, but the reports have suggested she got paid many millions of dollars over the time of their relationship, both personal and then professional.
Comfortably.
We would need to check this out, as I explained to you.
I mean, it was no cereal and fruit. Okay, she lived very comfortably. It was no cereal and fruit. You know, she didn't have to make her bed. That's for sure. That's the kind of comfort life that she lived. You know, some of us are still making the bed, and that is okay. I'd rather make my bed than have somebody make my bed, because you just never know what people be doing on these beds. But I'm just saying, like,
she was had a professional relationship with him, looking after his houses, decorated. Sure. It's entirely possible that the accounts into which some of the money went for these substantial decorations, including the plane and so forth, may have come close to her. I can't tell you that, but that's what I suspect. And I don't think these numbers are very real at all, so I don't buy it.
In the trial, there was exhibit GX52. This was Ghislaine's a supposed little black book. Most of the contents were redacted from court filings. In a November 12 filing, federal prosecutors contended the book contained compelling evidence of Ghislaine's guilt. In 2015, Gawker, the website at the time, published a redacted copy of its contents, including the names of world leaders, famous performers, business titans, and so on. What can you say about the little black book of all the details?
Listen, there was an address book for sure. It had the names of people, famous people, people that work for them, friends, whatever. You have one, I have one. So let's not try and big it up for more than it is. I think it was a high quality address book. I don't think it constitutes a list, let alone a list of a lay.
Wait. Back it up. Okay, hold up. Even the FBI says that they don't deny the existence of a client list. They're just not admitting to the fact that there was anything criminal behind this client list. But what he's saying here, he's like kind of filling in the blanks for the government. The government needs this. It's a black book, an address book, a very nice one, a fancy smanchy. Okay, whatever.
People to whom young minor girls were trafficked. So Ghislaine's position on this, for what it's worth, is she doesn't ever believe that such a list existed.
But do you believe that Epstein was a predatory pedophile? Because many people believe he may have abused thousands of girls, many of whom were underage. That is the working presumption about Epstein. Do you believe that?
Well, do I believe it? I believe that he had some really strange predilections for young girls.
Well, it's called paedophilia. Let's call it what it is.
Okay, you want to call it paedophilia?
Well, he was convicted of it, so it's a pretty good indication that that's what he liked.
So there's no issue that was his.
You want to call it that? That's what it is. With semantics, what are we doing here?
His modus operandi for his own pleasure, but I don't believe that it goes beyond his own predilections.
So all these men that were going to the island, going to the houses for these parties, Prince Andrew, for example, who was wrapped with his arm photographed, his arm around Virginia Giuffre with Ghislaine in the background.
Well, let's deal with that.
Well, we'll come to that in a moment. But,
Okay.
well, we will. But is your position, and obviously you would know from what Ghislaine's told you that it's her position, is the position that, yes, he was a massively predatory paedophile for decades, but that Ghislaine, who was around him for large amounts of that period, that she knew nothing about any of that?
Well, we've got to go back in time. And I know you pressed it to one side, but in the 2006-7 indictment of Epstein, which was the first time the authorities booked him, if you want, right? The police detective who ran the entire charge for the Miami Police Department, which was responsible for doing the investigation, was asked on oath, was Ghislaine Maxwell a target? No. Was Ghislaine Maxwell's name mentioned? No.
But that wasn't my question.
You've asked me a question about you. You made a statement. Forgive me. Can I finish?
Yeah, but that wasn't the question.
You said to me, you said to me, Ghislaine was there for a large part of decades.
Yes.
This just isn't true.
Well, through the 90s and 2000s?
No. So that's a quick elision. That didn't happen. They meet in 91. They're intimate, I believe, until tail end of the 90s. The professional relationship begins then. The new associate I mentioned, Sarah Kellerman, comes in, does all whatever the organizing of the normal backwards and forwards of his life is concerned with, and she goes with Ted Wade from 2003 to 2011. I've said they bumped into Epstein from time to time. So we're talking about, remember, the indictment alone runs 94, 2001 of Ghislaine's indictment.
Oh my God. Okay. So, and all of this is supposed to mean what? That she didn't know he might be innocent. I don't know. He doesn't know anything about a book, or he's not describing it this way. I'm so confused by this. It's a bit cringe.
And I tried to explain to you that she was cut out of communications and cut out of his life in large elements. So this is a man who compartmentalized his life and compartmentalized his personal life. And it's important that Ghislaine, I can only assume based on those emails of saying exclude her here, exclude her there, because she is a crucial conduit to important men, political men, bankers, and so forth. That you can't mix those two.
Do you accept she may have pulled the wool over your eyes? What if you could delay your next 2 mortgage payments? That's right. Imagine putting those 2 payments.
Do you accept that she might have pulled the wool over your eyes? Or because that's his sister, he doesn't really give a shit. Maybe that's what it is.
No, I believe myself. I've known her for 60 years.
Yeah.
But, I'm not going
to
suddenly say she started pulling the wool. I don't think so. I don't believe so.
Listen, y'all. Listen, Linda. I have a family. I love my family. I really, really do. But I could smell bullshit even within my own family. I'd be like, you got to take a shower because you smell. Like that type of shit. You know what I mean? Like, what? How do you? And then the excusing of it. I don't know what to say. This is too much. Way too much for me.
Not for a second. Not for a second. And interestingly, President Trump was asked the only time, I believe, in public, at the tail end of his presidency, so say, November, December 2021, about Ghislaine. And he said, I don't know much about it, but I wish her well. And I don't think that anyone else showed the slightest piece of humanity. Not anybody at that time. And yet he did. He didn't need to. He's the president of the United States, the most powerful man in the world. He could have just sloughed it off. He didn't. He made a...
Oh my God. You got to be kidding me. I didn't watch this yesterday. Did y'all hear what he just said?
Positive statement. I'm very grateful to that. I know Ghislaine was too.
Do you think that she will testify to Congress if she's given immunity?
Well, I've just told you that there are multiple.
I understand that, but
wait a minute.
Is that what she would require?
If you want to answer the question,
hold up. Well, yeah, that deserves a replay. Hold up. You are kidding me. Give me 1 sec, y'all. Hold up. Lord have mercy. Okay.
No, I believe myself. I've known her for 60 years.
Yeah.
But, I'm not going to suddenly say she started pulling the wool. I don't think so. I don't believe so. Not for a second. Not for a second. And interestingly, President Trump was asked the only time, I believe, in public, at the tail end of his presidency, so say, November, December 2021, about Ghislaine. And he said, I don't know much about it, but I wish her well. And I don't think that anyone else showed the slightest piece of humanity. not anybody at that time. And yet he did. He didn't need to. He's the president of the United States, the most powerful man in the world. He could have just sloughed it off. He didn't. He made a positive statement. I'm very grateful to that. And I know Ghislaine was too.
Do you think that she will testify to Congress if she's given immunity?
Well, I've just told you that there are multiple.
I understand that, but
wait a minute.
Is that what she would require?
If you want the answer to the question, you want me to explain it to you.
Yeah.
The immunity. You've got to be careful about things like immunity. In a situation where you've got live legal proceedings, we can't find that if Ghislaine says, okay, I'm going to start testifying, that she is somehow attacked ex post facto for procedural nonsense, and she's accused of lying to Congress. So you cannot take this lightly. We just heard about the possible subpoenaing or there's definitive subpoenaing or whatever. It doesn't mean that if a subpoena is a command to come to Congress, right, and to testify. But it could be possible for Ghislaine not to testify. She may be advised in the midst of her legal proceedings that she should take the fifth, which would be a pity because she's never taken the fifth, not once, not in any of the civil proceedings, not once.
No, but she didn't testify.
So was it possible that her attorney advised her to plead the fifth at that time?
In her criminal case.
That's the right of every defendant.
Sure, but she didn't testify, is my point.
She did not testify because she believed...
She's never actually testified under oath about any of this, right?
She believed that the government had not made its case. It's not for Ghislaine to make the government's case.
I understand, but she could have testified.
She could have testified. Of course she could have testified.
Let me ask you, Ian, do you believe Jeffrey Epstein killed himself?
I have to say that was my original view. I think it's entirely plausible that could have happened. However, I think the jury must be out on the manner of his death. I think the investigation was shoddy. I think it was cursory. I think the guards involved were let off pretty lightly. I think the footage we've seen of the film is not terribly conclusive. There's a flex from a CPAP machine, which helps you breathe better. Why couldn't that have been used as a ligature? We don't know. And
we need the body language experts on this guy. This guy is so full of caca. I can't even tell you, man.
The pathologist that was brought in by the Epstein family did not consider that the injuries to Epstein's neck were conclusive of suicide, and he thought it was more likely that it was homicide. And so that's my take on it. Remember, prisons are damn dangerous places. There are murderers on the wing where he was. He is a convicted pedophile. So, nonsense, as we call them in Britain, gets short shrift in prison. You know it and I know it.
Do you worry that if your sister agrees to testify, that her life will be in danger?
I think Ghislaine's life is in danger today. She's in a prison. It's a violent place. And we know.
I think her life is in danger, but not because she's in a prison, just because she is, she has a lot that she could say about this situation. That's why.
That there's heavy overcrowding in Tallahassee, that now it's higher category prisoners are being admitted. So yes, I think it's, the prisoners are awash with drugs. It's extremely violent. It also is so ridiculous. She has no paper. Piers, she can't even instruct her lawyers. I mean, what kind of a situation is this? Where is the justice in that system?
Tell me briefly about the Prince Andrew photograph, the infamous picture with his arm around Virginia Giuffre, with your sister in the background. Some people have tried to cast aspersion over the veracity of that.
Yep.
We know that Andrew paid a reported $11 million to avoid having this argument in public court. So what is your view of it?
Well, you've made several points. The first thing I want to deal with is the photograph. This photograph was allegedly taken on the 10th of March, 2001. I think I'm right about that. The weekend of 10-11 March. Now, Ghislaine had flown from the United States to England for one purpose that weekend. It was to attend my mother's 80th birthday celebration, which took place 50 miles away from London at my then sister-in-law house, the house of my brother, Kevin. We have footage of Ghislaine on that weekend. There, we have people who saw her there. Now, you cannot be in two places at the same time.
So yet another person that this is a fake photo? Are you serious? What is he saying? What is he saying with that? What is he saying? What is he saying?
That's my take on the picture. You draw the conclusion.
Well, 30 miles is not that far to drive.
You draw
is it?
In the midst of a family gathering.
So you're saying the picture was fake?
I'm saying you can't be in two places at once.
So is the picture fake, do you think?
Well, what do you think?
I don't understand.
From that.
Well, if the picture
way
was
I've
fake,
expressed it.
if your picture was...
Listen, Ghislaine has herself considered that she has no memory of that picture ever being
Right.
taken. She has no memory of the event taking place, and for what it's worth, nor did Prince Andrew, because he's on.
So why did he give Virginia Giuffre $11 million to avoid?
That's a good question.
A court case he vowed to have.
The real reason that he folded his tent was not that he didn't have a decent case or a decent crack at proving that Virginia Giuffre was a serial liar, which we know is the case because Professor Dershowitz was accused also of having slept with her. But unlike Andrew, he stuck to his guns and she had to pull. Now,
but you
have to remember.
Hang on.
You have to remember
hang on 1 second. But Ian, on the question of whether Virginia Giuffre lied about Ghislaine, as you know, Virginia Giuffre sued Ghislaine for calling her a liar.
That's
and
right.
In the end, Ghislaine paid a reported millions of dollars.
That's right.
As a settlement. Why would she have done that?
Well,
if Virginia Giuffre was lying.
Let's just get back to finish your question on Andrew, because you've asked.
Okay, no. Like literally, what is this guy? I just paused him at the very interesting part. I cannot believe this ish.
That question I haven't answered. You have to remember the context in which he filmed it. It was his mother's 70th Jubilee year. She's at the end of her life. She's at the end of her reign. She wants to finish and go out on a bang. And this could not happen. I think he folded his tent either at her direct request or at the request of other members of the family that said, we can't have this. It's too bad. You just have to fold it, take the pain, and just move on, right? Now, so that's as far as Andrew is concerned. In the case of Ghislaine, it's a really different position because the transcripts of the civil case between Giuffre and Ghislaine found their way utterly inappropriately, and as we now know, illegally, into her criminal trial. But the transcripts as affecting Giuffre, so what came into the trial was all of what Ghislaine had to say and what Ghislaine did, but not what Giuffre has admitted and what Giuffre did.
Oh my God, just answer the question.
So part of what we want to get released, and which we hope that President Trump will authorize, and the DOJ will proceed, and Pam Bondi will get on with, is to have all of those transcripts in the public domain.
But why did Ghislaine pay her millions of dollars?
Yeah, why?
Listen, it reached a point where the matter was sealed. There would be no more finish to the whole thing. It was finished. She had enough. They came to an arrangement. We don't know what that arrangement was, actually. I don't know to this day. It finished.
Oh.
Just finally, there's a lot of
Hold up. Katie says, first he said 80th birthday, then he said 70. Which one is it? Let's see. I don't know, man. There was no answer given to any of this ish. Like, I don't know what to believe of this guy. I think this guy is just, oh my God. I cannot. I refuse, and I cannot. Okay.
Speculation about whether Epstein was some kind of Israeli agent working for Mossad or some other entity. And there's also been a further suggestion that your father, Robert Maxwell, was also an Israeli agent, maybe also working for Mossad. What can you say about that?
Well, just dealing with my father briefly, it's well known that he was a major supporter of the State of Israel. From its independence war, 1948, unknown to me, but described in a book that came out a few years ago, he was instrumental in ensuring that Israel had Spitfires and replacement parts required to defend itself and to ensure that it won that particular war. Later on, when he was a much more well-known man, he discovered the treachery of Vanunu. This was a man who had exposed Israel's nuclear secrets and ended up being quite helpful to Israel to get him and get him into jail. So that's as far as my father's concerned. I would dispute the idea that he was a member of Mossad or that he was in some kind of an agent of theirs. I think he was definitely a strong supporter of the State of Israel. Certainly he was on the Arab boycott and was proud of it.
This is crazy. This connection and these ties are just insane. I have not reviewed I've reviewed the Andrew, not live, but I did watch it a couple weeks ago.
List. Epstein, I have not a clue. We know that the one of the former Israeli prime ministers, Barak, I think, just last week said that it was not the case. Quite the contrary. Why would he take such a man on to be an agent? So that's what Israel has to say about it. As for Ghislaine, I have not the slightest doubt that my father would never have involved her in any such matters, not with the Mossad, not with the British Secret Service, nothing. So I dispute all of that.
Your father fell off his boat, as everybody knows. How do you believe he died?
I have always accepted that it was an accident. that he fell from that boat. We know from some of the autopsy pictures released that there are really terrible tears in the muscles on his back, which would be indicating that he just tried to hang on either to the stairs or to the stern of the boat. He was not a well man at the time of his death. He was very, very overweight. And so I think that's good for me. And I just don't buy the murder, although Ghislaine does and has always thought that he was murdered.
Have you had any contact with Prince Andrew?
Have I?
Yeah, recently.
No, not recently. I think I met him at a time when Ghislaine was with him, or saw quite a bit of him, and that would have been at least 15, 18, 20 years ago. So no.
Ian Maxwell, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. Joining me now is the host of The Benny Show, Benny Johnson, PBD podcast Angry Patriot, Benny Oshana.
I'm not a fan of Benny Johnson. I'll say that right now. He's that drink the Kool-Aid until you just drink the Kool-Aid.
Mulvaney, the former chief of staff to President Trump. Before I go to the panel,
Oh my
I'll
God.
speak briefly to Congresswoman Lauren Boebert, who's been waiting patiently. Thank you all for your time. It was a fascinating interview there with Ghislaine Maxwell's brother. So I just wanted to complete that first. Let me just ask you, Lauren Boebert, first, your reaction to the fact that the House in Congress now wants to depose, it seems, Ghislaine Maxwell.
Yes, well, my colleague Tim Burchett from Tennessee has language to bring her in before the Oversight Committee and have Ghislaine Maxwell testify. You just spoke in your previous segment about immunity. There have been rumors on the Hill that she wants a pardon before she would do that. That's not confirmed to me, but certainly rumors that have been spoken about. And so I don't know if she would come before Congress with an immunity deal, with a pardon deal. I don't think that this is something.
Guys, I'm telling you right now, they reached out to her for a reason. This is going to be a situation we're never going to know what was in those Epstein files. We'll never know. They'll never be released. It'll never be said, anything like that. And you know what? It's solely because of that. I think that we have every right to assume everything about Trump that we need to assume, because that's how it is. And everybody else that might have had, any of the elites that might have had some dealing with this, I think it's okay to assume just everything that we need to assume.
Somebody who should be pardoned, or maybe when we hear what we have to say, maybe she should. But I don't see anything wrong with having the star witness actually say what's happening. Now, President Trump, he has done so many things that unfortunately are being overshadowed by this. We are all about truth and transparency, and I do trust the president's timing that he will get this out. We've had votes in the Rules Committee on such language.
Oh, shut the hell up. We don't trust anybody. Let's keep going. Stop trusting people. They don't care.
There's a discharge petition that I'm a co-sponsor of. Congressman Thomas Massey has drafted this language with a Democrat to get Democrat support. Of course, they're all over this right now. It's the first hint of corruption that they've ever wanted to expose. I mean, I've been in Congress trying to expose Hunter Biden and the Biden crime family all of this time, even Joe Biden's cognitive decline. And there was like nothing to see here, folks. They looked like the penguins in Madagascar. You didn't see anything. And now all of a sudden they're about truth and transparency. But I do agree with Congressman Tim Burchett and even many parts of the discharge petition that I'm a co-sponsor of in getting truth out to the American people, mainly because I want President Trump to continue on his amazing successes and what he is doing for the country and not be distracted by this mess. I've had communications with the White House. I do trust that there is a timing for this. And right now, we honestly should be talking about the treasonous activity that we have seen with Barack Obama as he was going out of his administration and what our Secretary Gabbard has uncovered. That should be the main topic today.
Not the 1,000 victims, right? This is such a distraction. I don't care. Let me say this right now. If Obama did something wrong, or if any of these mother effers did anything wrong, go ahead. Investigate them, prosecute them, do what you got to do. But we cannot be gaslit and we cannot be distracted by this BS right here. And here's a good example of the lady with the red lipstick and the shirt. She's doing that right in front of our faces. That's bullshit coming from her. You should know better. Shame
but
on
instead,
you.
we are focused on Epstein. And I just want to say one more thing, Piers. For years, we wanted to talk about Epstein, and no one would. Everyone called us crazy. They called us
No. Talk about go ahead. Now it's even a good time. Bring it up. Do it. Tell them to do what they got to do. It's BS.
Conspiracy theorists. And now all of a sudden, this is the hottest issue. And the Democrats who are saying that they have seen things that the Republicans didn't try hard enough to get information out. Where were they the past 2 years, the past 4 years, the past 6 years? Where were they in actually getting information out to the public then? So it's fine to have the conversation. It's even better to get information out to the American people. And your interview there was very, very fascinating. He certainly has more information on this topic than I ever would. So it was great to be here in the waiting room watching that interaction.
Well, I appreciate your patience. I think in relation to the Epstein scandal and the Trump administration, it's simply that I had Alina Haber on this show several months ago in which she was absolutely ramping up to fever pitch what was likely to be in the Epstein files, and then suddenly, bang, everything gets shut down in a very mysterious and sudden way on a Friday night. And it's exactly the kind of behavior that, honestly, if this had been the Biden administration had done that, I think exactly the same furore would have been fired up, but by you guys. So I do understand why the whole thing blew up the way it did. But listen, Lauren Bowman, I appreciate you joining me. Thank you for your patience. I'm going to go to the rest of the panel. Benny Johnson. It's very interesting. I mean, I'd never met Ian Maxwell before. Obviously, he is her brother. You know, many people may watch it and think, well, he would say all that, wouldn't he? And there may well be merit to some of the procedural arguments he's making about the way this all got played out. But it does remain the case that it's completely baffling to me.
I agree with you. This is not about right or left, and that's where we lose the plot on this. Absolutely, I agree. And let's keep going.
Now, the only person who's ever been made legally accountable for the actions of Jeffrey Epstein, one of the most predatory pedophiles, certainly high-profile pedophiles in modern American history, is a woman who's languishing in jail, and no other men apparently were ever involved in any criminal activity with this guy. What is your view about this?
First off, kudos to you, Piers. That interview was spectacular. What the hell is going on here, Piers? So he's saying that the Prince Andrew photo's fake?
Okay, stop brown nosing. Stop the bullshit. Just let's go to it.
You're joking. He's saying that is a doctored photo. This is the opinion of the Maxwell family, that she never hung out with Prince Andrew. And then 2 questions later, he says, when they were all hanging out together with Prince Andrew, exactly what the hell just happened?
Very true.
That's crazy talk, man. And then his admissions about his father and his workings with foreign intel agencies. These are some bombshell admissions and some things that I really hope get asked in the federal testimony that is going to be elicited from Ghislaine Maxwell, that I have sources inside of the DOJ and the FBI that says that meeting is on the books. It's not something that they're dangling in front of us, Piers. It's not some shiny object. It's happening. It's already on the schedule. It's going to happen. And so what's going to become of that? I'd really love to see the answers to that question. Ghislaine Maxwell is on the record saying she doesn't believe that Jeffrey Epstein killed himself. Well, why exactly? What was the operation? Did you literally sex traffic thousands of women to no one? Who was your father? Did you meet Prince Andrew? Is this a doctored photo, as you just elicited, out of her brother? These are wild bombshells. Bang on, Piers. That interview was something else.
Well, also, I just think in the end, Andrew paid Virginia Giuffre $11 million reportedly to not go to court and clear his name as he vowed to. And secondly, Ghislaine Maxwell paid apparently several $1 million to Virginia Giuffre to avoid.
When you say, why can't the victims just say the names? Why can't the victims just say the names? It hits a little bit different when the actual government names them, those alleged perpetrators, right? Because again, the victims, right, they always have to do the most work. They have to come forward and say what it is. They have to do all kinds of things, right? They don't get it right, then they're not appeasing a certain, demographic that wants that information. So then my question becomes is, why can't the government say the names? Why does the victim have to say the names? Wouldn't you risk more? Wouldn't you risk your life being a victim of this? Clearly, go into hiding, do a bunch, which a lot of them have done. You know that the person that aligned all this was Epstein and Ghislaine. But it hits a little bit different when the government comes forward and gives those allegations where they need to actually land, on paper and everything. Like, you get put through hell as a victim, even by title. So I'm not understanding. I think that there's a bit of an ownership. And what can the victim do? You're right. And that's the issue. What can the victim? I mean, the victim can't bring this person to court or bring to justice. What else is there? If she or he files a civil lawsuit, you've seen them be dropped. What then? So the government doesn't bring anything. The victims get SOL. Some of them we don't even know. They might have never come forward.
Going to court and defending herself against her claims that the Virginia Giuffre was a liar. So, I agree that in America, a lot of people settle without any admission of fault or blame or guilt. However, when a load of people caught up in one of the biggest scandals of modern times are paying millions of dollars to people while simultaneously claiming they weren't victims, and nothing happened, and there's nothing to see here, Gov. I'm just not buying it.
Well, here's, I think, the most important part. And if you speak with any federal prosecutor, as we've done multiple times on my show, you'll find something very strange here. And it really aligns perfectly and locks in with the Diddy trial. And there are major connections between the two. But here's the most major glaring connection that any federal prosecutor will scream from high heavens until his voice cracks over, which is you can't charge a RICO case without any co-conspirators. The way a RICO case and a kingpin case works, and Epstein's case was a kingpin case, was you start bringing in the lower level people and charging them. Same thing with Diddy, with the RICO case. You bring in the people who brought in the prostitutes or found the young women, who set up the freak-offs, who set up Epstein's island. You prosecute the pilots, you prosecute the underlings, and then you build yourself up to a RICO case. In both cases, it was a wrap-up operation. The prosecution, Piers, was the cover-up. This was an opportunity for the federal government to seal something, not to expose something. And that's what has bothered so many people. They are intricately connected.
Okay, Vinny, do you accept that this has all been handled incredibly badly by the Trump administration? Because I think that's inarguable now, right? I mean, they walked everybody up the hill, and then right at the point that certainly I think a lot of MAGA voters were expecting to have full disclosure on all the Epstein files, Elon Musk suddenly goes public and says, bombshell. Donald Trump's, the biggest bombshell is that he's in the Epstein files. 2-3 weeks later, everything is shut down.
Everything is shut down. You already see people shaking heads. Mama Lama AZ, thank you for becoming a member. Shout out to you, love. Thank you so much for supporting the channel and everybody else. Okay, girl. Just make sure you guys hit the like button, please, and thank you.
You don't have to be a mad conspiracy theorist to say, well, what's going on here? I did, and I've known Donald Trump 20 years and like him very much, and I totally accept that he might be completely blameless when it comes to anything involving Epstein of a nefarious nature. But the sequence of events here is not good.
Absolutely not, Piers, and it's good to see you again.
And you.
But yeah, Piers, and here's the thing, Piers. It's all the people, it's the team around him. Okay, Trump did make a promise, Piers, when he was asked, will you release JFK? Yes. Martin Luther King? Yes. 9/11? Yes. Jeffrey Epstein? Yeah. But with that one, we kind of got to be careful. Okay, so it wasn't like he ran on it. It wasn't a campaign promise. But when your team, the Pam Bondis, the Cash Patels, and Dan Bongino, who I admire and I love a lot, are out there on the front lines making all these promises, Piers, you personally, if you had your team of producers and all these people around you, they're speaking on your behalf and they're making all these promises, wouldn't you be like, hey guys, shut the hell, like what the hell are we doing?
Well,
so
Vinny, I think it's worse than that, because we all know how
you campaign with those promises. We can't forget that. That's what they use. He's gonna drain the swamp. This expose the deep state. Okay.
Donald Trump operates. They wouldn't have all been doing that off their own bat, right? They'd have all been doing it because they have been encouraged to do it. They were speaking on behalf of his administration. So something went down, and I don't know what it was, and maybe it was the Elon Musk thing. I don't know what it was. I mean, we've now got the Wall Street Journal obviously publishing what they claimed was a hand-drawn, bawdy letter bearing Donald Trump's name to Jeffrey Epstein at Ghislaine Maxwell's request for his 50th birthday album in 2003. A pair of small arcs donate women's breasts. The future president's signature is a squiggly Donald below her waist mimicking pubic hair. Now, Trump has responded by saying it absolutely wasn't anything that he did. He's now suing the Wall Street Journal. He's suing Rupert Murdoch for billions of dollars, and we'll have to see how that all plays out. But it was no doubt that they were very good friends for a period of time. It's also no doubt that, to his credit, Trump dropped him when he became knowledge he was a convicted pedophile, which a lot of other people didn't, including, I don't believe, Ghislaine Maxwell. So I do think there's like life before the conviction and life after the conviction for public figures. If you carried on,
including Maxwell, didn't know, according to Ian. Okay.
Like Prince Andrew, hanging around a guy who's been convicted of soliciting an underage girl for sex, then I think, I'm afraid, you are then guilty by association, right? You can try and pretend you're not, but you are.
Piers, I have a quick question for you.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna stop right here because guys, I do have to go. I gotta go tend to baby bunny, and I got a lot of stuff to do, and she's making a mess, so I have to go tend to that. Shout out to everybody in the chat, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I really, really do appreciate it. Make sure you guys are hitting that like button. It does help in the algorithm. Thank you for those that have sent super chats and new members. Shout out to everybody. Thank you, guys. I gotta go. You guys are amazing, and I will see you guys maybe tonight. We'll do another live. And just kind of see what's going on, because it's different stuff that's happening. And guess what? Our ears are still on this Epstein files. We're going to see right through this and see where it goes. What are you doing? Don't do that. She grabbed my gavel and she's banging. Anyways, I'll see you guys on the next one. Hit the like button. Bye, guys.